Right, so every now and then, a TikToker comes along with a story that ends up being multiple parts. I mean, we've seen it with Risa Teaser's Who the Fuck Did I Marry? I think that was like 60 parts in the end. It was a very long story. Well, recently a different series has started going viral, and it's by this TikToker right here called Kobe with 255,000 followers. This story in particular is 11 parts, it's an hour and a half long, and I've looked through it all, and it's all about how he got fucked over by a business partner, and he goes into a lot of detail. So even on this video, I'm going to be focusing on what I think are the main parts in the story. There's a lot that I'm going to leave out, obviously. You can see the length of this video. It's nowhere near an hour and a half long. So if you do want to see the full story and you want to support Kobe, his TikTok name is aboutkobylomax, and you can go and support him there because he genuinely has been like royally fucked over in this situation. And I can already tell there's going to be some comments in this video saying that Kobe was incredibly naive and made some dumb decisions throughout all of this. And I mean, that is true. He was incredibly naive and he made some stupid decisions, but he is also very open about that throughout the series. I'm not going to show obviously every point where he acknowledges how dumb the decision might have been, because again, I'm only going to be focusing on the main parts, but he is very open about how he was naive, he was young, this is his first time ever running a business, and he made some dumb decisions. But either way, let's actually get into the series itself. So it started with this video right here that's currently on 4.5 million views, and I guess this is technically like episode 0. It's just kind of him talking about the situation, and then he goes on to make the series going into more detail.
At 15 years old, I started a business out of my mom's garage. At 22 years old, I built that business into $1 million business. And at 23 years old, I lost everything to a 45-year-old white man who I made the mistake of calling my business partner.
I mean, that's a lot straight away, but clearly you can see he started this business from incredibly young, 15 years old. This was obviously a very big passion project for him, and in his opinion, he got fucked over by this bloke. He then also goes on to say that he's had legal advice and he can talk about the situation as long as he doesn't mention the company.
For the sake of this story, we're gonna call him Believe. Believe has bullied me into silence for the past 2 years, but recently I have received legal clearance to share my story anywhere I want to share my story under these restrictions. I can't say the name of the business.
Now, he does also go on to say that people are going to work out what the business is very quickly because he made a lot of videos about this company before. He was the face of the company, and people did quickly figure out what company it was. Now, it actually used to be called Ardent Candles, but if you go to the URL now, it says Ardent is now Saturday Candle Co. And now this is the rebrand of the company. Basically, they were like cereal candles, as you can see right here. And to be honest, I can see why it would do well. It's a pretty unique idea, right? These candles that looks like kind of like a bowl of cereal. Obviously, like the wax for the candle looks like the milk, and you got the cereal on top. I get how it's done well. So now the series starts off where he says that a bunch of people in his family have created businesses. He wanted to create his own business at 15 years old. He came up with this idea. He pitched this to his dad. His dad was like, okay, I'll help you out. I'll give you the first $200 toward the business. He started like running the business, as in like selling stuff at school because he's a 15-year-old. And then in 2020, he actually started taking it seriously.
So the business was really ran like a hobby. Like it was just something I did on the side when I had time, and it was just really fun and I enjoyed it so much. And then in 2020, that was the year where I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious and like try to actually build a business. If I keep treating this like a hobby, it's going to be a hobby. I have to start treating it like a business if I want it to be a business.
And then he starts going into details about how hard he was working on his business. He was working on it like day in, day out.
And so for all of 2020, I just worked so hard every day in, day out. Like my mom always talks about this period of my life because she was like, you were just so focused. Like every day you down in that garage making those products and doing research on how to do this, up at 4 a.m. watching YouTube videos on how to market your product and how to, like my mom was like, you were just so in the zone.
And then the next part of the series, he says it gets to a point where he actually starts getting sales.
2021 comes around and I get the idea to get on TikTok. I post 3 TikToks on January 25th, 2021. Go to sleep, and the next morning I wake up to one of my videos having 3,000 views and I made $300 in sales. And then over the rest of that day, I made $3,000 in sales, and my page went from literally 0 to 12,000 followers. And I was like, whoa, what is going on?
He then says he carries on the business, he's getting more and more sales, and it gets to a point where he actually starts renting an office in this co-working space. He also mentions at this point with the way he grew up, he was just kind of like naive to the fact that people can fuck him over because people hadn't done that before. And he was just basically clueless that people do have bad intentions. So because of this, he was very trusting with all of the people in the co-working space. He would ask for advice constantly. He would tell them about the business, and most people were really, really helpful. But there was one person in particular who he calls Believe throughout this. Real name isn't Believe, but he was extremely helpful at the beginning.
However, there was this one guy who was extremely helpful. Like, extremely helpful. I'm talking checking on me every single day, asking how's the business doing every single day, coming to knock on my door at my office every day to ask me how's the business going. I mean, like, very helpful.
So in his own words, he was naively trusting this guy, asking for advice, and one bit of advice I believe given him was, why don't you put like a pre-sale up for 1,000 products and just see if you can sell it out? And he was worried about this. He was like, 1,000 products? I've never tried to sell that much before. What if I don't sell them? And then I'm stuck with a load of product that I spent a lot of money on that I can't sell. So Believe actually lends him the money to do this.
And Believe's like, well, you really got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. And then Believe goes, well, I believe in you. So I'll lend you the money right now. And you just pay me back. No strings attached. No nothing. I'll buy the supplies. And when you sell through it, you just pay me back. I believe in you.
So Kobe goes ahead with this. He makes $15,000 in just a few hours. The business is going incredibly well, but Believe says he's now going to start working on some new projects and he won't be able to help Kobe anymore. So Kobe says, like, what would I need to do for you to like continue helping me? And Believe says, okay, right, I'll think of a proposal. And then he comes back with a proposal, which is 15% of equity.
So he's like, all right, here's my proposal. I want 15% of the company. I don't need to take a salary at all. I just want my equity, which is a red flag, y'all.
So they end up agreeing on this 15%. Kobe thinks it's a really good deal because Believe is going to keep helping him out with the company. But this is just like a handshake deal at this point. Nothing's actually on paper. And whilst they're waiting to actually make it official, Believe keeps changing the numbers. Like Kobe says once he mentioned like 20%, and then he was a bit confused about that. And then all of a sudden Believe's now mentioned in 25%. And that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, so he'll just casually throw in there like, yeah, once I get my 20%. And then later on he would casually throw in once I get my 25%. And it's just like, what? Like, I'm sorry. We said 15.
But Kobe decides to do this because Believe's been very helpful. He keeps saying, like, I trust you, like, you're gonna do really good, you're a smart young man, all this stuff, just filling up with compliments. And Kobe thinks, okay, right, it's a high percentage, but if that's what's gonna take to get him involved, then it's gonna be a good idea because he's shown me nothing but good vibes so far. So now at this point, Kobe is solely focusing on the creative side of things. Believe is kind of focusing on, like, the business side of things. They end up making $70,000 in just 5 days. And then Kobe says the first example of Believe taking control over the company and doing things the way he wanted them done and not the way that Kobe wanted them done.
May comes around and we have this Mother's Day launch coming up and nothing was ready for the Mother's Day launch on time. We didn't have product, we didn't have supplies, we didn't have anything. And I felt like we should not do this right now. Like, we don't have the stuff. And he goes, well, we have to launch a new product every other week. Like, we have to keep the money coming in. We have to keep the momentum rolling. And this is when it was like, oh, this is literally all about the money for you.
And because they didn't have any products ready, when they actually went on to sell the product, there wasn't even an image of the product that people were buying. It was just a label because they had nothing ready and the sales ended up doing terribly. But Kobe says he was just scared to speak up because he's speaking to this Believe who also has like multiple other companies. He's this proper like businessman. He's done this before. So he must know what he's talking about. He just felt like he can't really speak up. He also mentions like throughout this, they're just hiring more and more staff like all the time, more and more people coming in, especially at the warehouse part of it. And now it gets to a point where Believe actually asks Kobe to come for a meeting and says, the only way I'm going to carry on working with this is if you actually give me 50% of the company.
With me being here full time, I'm not opposed to that. I do have other projects and things that I want to work on and get started, but I also don't mind staying here if you want me to do that, but I'm going to need more. So his proposal was he wanted 50% of the business. And at this point, my intuition was like, whoa, Kobe, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Do not make a decision right now.
So Kobe doesn't give him an answer straight away. He goes on to like ask other people, like his family or just like friends or whoever else who might know a thing or two about companies and says like, should I do this? They're all saying no. So Kobe goes back to Believe and says, can we just pay you a salary instead of like more equity? And Believe says, you will not be able to afford a salary for what I'm worth.
So then one day at work, I go to Believe and I'm like, hey, Believe, what do you think about if we just pay you a salary? Like whatever you feel like you're worth, you know, let's just pay you instead of doing more equity. Believe goes, oh, we're not going to be able to pay me what I'm worth. Mind you, we're making close to $200,000 a month. Every month.
And it's also worth noting that Kobe and Believe have only been working together for 5 months at this point, and it's already went from 15% to now wanting 50%. But Kobe ultimately declines this request for 50%, and Believe starts freaking out and saying that the company's gonna crash and burn.
So I end up making a decision. So we have a meeting at the coffee shop again. And he's like, yeah, so did you make a decision, like what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, you know, I think I'm ready to transition you out of a full-time role. You know, you can go work on the other projects and things that you want to go do, and I'll take over from here. The first words that come out of his mouth is, you're going to burn your business to the ground. You see, the problem is I built you this monster that you're not going to be able to maintain. That was the first sentence out of his mouth.
So they end up having this bit of like a back and forth. Believe is obviously like fuming about everything. They end up going their separate ways. Obviously, Kobe denied the request and Believe's now going on and do his own thing, but they still work in the same like co-working space, right? So they do see each other, and then the first time they do see each other, Believe basically says that he feels like he's been taken advantage of.
Can you just fill me in on everything, because I have no idea what's going on down here. But then before I can even do that, he comes back upstairs and he comes in the room and he goes, you know, I just feel like I've been taken advantage of. You've been taken advantage of? Well, hold on, y'all. Let me finish. He goes, I just feel like I've been taken advantage of. I've been in here working every day, and you've been at home and have me in here working like your little slave. Oh, that's giving projecting. Like you see me as your little slave. How dare you?
Now, at this point, Kobe says that he's really confused because the way Believe like described it, he was saying like, I've got a bunch of other projects that I want to go on and do. So the only way I would stick with this is if it's worth it for me and I get like a higher equity. So Kobe was like, no, you would go and do your other projects. So he was confused why Believe is like fuming about it, because he should have other things lined up that he wants to do, because that's what he said. But by the end of this conversation, Believe says, okay, right, you know what? Misunderstanding. Let's forget about it. Let's just move on. I'll still carry on here.
He goes, oh, I guess we just had a misunderstanding. You know, sometimes you have to have hard conversations in business. So let's just forget this ever happened. And, you know, this is our business. Like, nobody else needs to know our business.
And that is ultimately what happens. They carry on kind of how they were before, because Kobe doesn't know like a lot of how this business is ran, because for a few months now, obviously Believe's been running a lot of it, and Kobe doesn't know that side of the business. But when they do carry on, Believe says he was like really anxious to go to work every single day because of like this confrontation. He's really not enjoying it. The company just isn't what he wanted it to be at the beginning. Believe's took like a lot of creative control and he's running it exactly how he wants it. He's just really not enjoying his time here. And Kobe actually says that he feels like Believe like realized that Kobe wasn't like feeling up to it, and he used this as a chance to ask for the higher percentage again.
I'm so uncomfortable. I'm so anxious around you. And as the days go on, like I'm questioning, like, was this all even worth it? And do I even still want to do this anymore? Now, this right here is alleged, so I can't say this is a fact, but I felt like in that moment, Believe saw that as a perfect opportunity to come back in and ask for 50%. And so sure enough, Believe goes, hey, let's talk, like let's have a little conversation about the business and whatnot, how we're gonna move forward.
And because Kobe's just really not feeling good about this company anymore, he's not enjoying it like he used to, they end up agreeing on this 50%. They end up passing through Black Friday, they cross over $1 million for the company, and then Believe starts talking about when he had his birthday party and he's surrounded by friends and family, and he realizes that like money and success isn't the biggest factor in life, you know, it's being around people who you actually love. And for him, it's not worth him just being upset and miserable every single day because of this company that he once thought he was running himself, but he's now kind of just doing everything that Believe wants. And now at this point, Believe ends up asking Kobe how he's feeling about the company. Kobe's actually honest for the first time, like saying his thoughts and feelings. So Believe says, why don't we bring someone else in who can help out with your side of the job, with like the creative stuff?
So Believe goes, all right, man, I hear you, like, I understand. Why don't we bring on somebody to help you with marketing? Like let's bring a full-time employee to work in marketing with you. So that way it's not so much on your plate. So that way you have some time. You don't have to work so hard, and you also will have time to like work on the other things that you want to do, right? And I was like, I don't know why we haven't been done this.
So yeah, as you can see, Kobe thinks it's a good idea. They end up hiring Trixie, who is someone that they've been working with just on like a per job basis, who's been doing some ads for them on like Instagram and Facebook and Google. But now they've actually hired Trixie to help out with Kobe. Also, another important thing to note here that I forgot to mention just a second ago was because Believe now has 50% of the company, he's even more involved in it. He's now doing things more his way and not really like involving Kobe in it. And Believe actually ends up wanting a meeting with Kobe where he tells him that his salaries are going to have to go to Trixie now to help like run the business because they can't afford it otherwise. So Kobe will still be able to get money from the company every 3 months due to his equity, but he'll no longer have a salary.
So Believe calls me, he's like, hey man, like let's have a meeting. When can you stop by the warehouse so we can, you know, have a meeting about some things? I'm like, I can come by today. So I go, and Believe is like, hey, so, you know, we're going to have to give Trixie your salary because, you know, she's doing all the work. Because, again, he thought I was just at home slacking off. She needs to get paid, and she's doing a lot of the work. She's here every day. She's really been working hard. We need to be able to give her a salary. And so you're still going to get your quarterly distributions, but we just need to give her your regular salary.
But now a little bit of time goes by and Kobe realizes that Trixie's actually now being fired because Believe spoke to someone who claimed that Trixie's work was just pointless and they shouldn't be paying her a salary.
So a couple of weeks go by and Believe gives me another call and it's like, hey, can you come by the warehouse? Like, we need to talk about some things. I want to catch you up on some things that are going on with the business. So I'm like, sure, I'll be by later. I come by to find out that Trixie was just fired.
And another important part in the story is later on, when Kobe and Trixie actually speak, Kobe finds out that Trixie was actually never paid. So this salary wasn't going to Kobe, and it also didn't go to Trixie.
I guess if that's what we gotta do, like, that's what we gotta do. Don't y'all know I caught up with Trixie last year, 2023? And Trixie told me that she never got paid.
Now, at this point in the story, Kobe goes on to talk about this shoe deal he did. So, on his own personal TikTok, like, aside from this business, he did a deal with some big shoe company, and he was meant to get paid for that personally. But because the shoe company had also done a deal with the business itself previously, they just paid the money straight to the business rather than paying it to Kobe personally. Now, Kobe says he was chasing this money for a long time. I think it was about $5,000, and Believe would just constantly, like, put it off, like, saying, no, I can't do it because of this reason, can't do it because of this reason. And then one of the reasons he mentions, after being asked about it multiple times, is because the business can't pay a personal account, so Kobe has to make a business account to be able to get paid, to which he does, and then ask for the money again.
So I'm like, hey, Believe, I got the business set up. Like, can you send me the money now? He goes, oh, right now the business doesn't have the money. We don't have the money in the account right now.
And basically, long story short, bit of a spoiler, but Kobe never gets that money. But it's at this point where things start going, like, really, really wrong, because Believe ends up talking to Kobe about his upcoming taxes, and he convinced him of doing some stuff which is very stupid in hindsight, right? But Kobe says because he was so naive, he went along with it. But yeah, this is Kobe explaining the first interaction about the taxes.
So another day, Believe calls me. He's like, hey, when can you stop by the warehouse? I need to have a conversation with you so we can talk about some things. I'm like, cool, I'll be there later today. I show up to the warehouse, right? Believe is like, all right, so he's like, taxes are coming up. And then he made taxes seem like this big, scary thing. He's like, you know, you're a single man, you don't have any kids, you don't have any dependents. They're going to kill you in taxes.
But Believe says he has a way around this, which is that if Kobe technically owns 0% of the company, he won't have to pay taxes.
We like, what does this process look like? Like, how does this work? And so he's like, I can talk to our accountant to figure out how much you owe, but if you don't own any of the company on paper, then you won't be responsible for so much. But you still get your payment that you're getting right now. Every 3 months you get your payout from the profits from the business, right? So nothing changes for real. It's just on paper you own 0%. And I'm like, honestly, like, I don't want to do no sketchy stuff. So please, like, don't be trying to sign me up for some sketchy avoiding taxes type thing, you know, like, I don't want none of that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to play with the IRS. Like,
yeah, so as you can see, at first Kobe is saying, no, let's definitely not do that. Now, also another important thing to note here is that Kobe was actually going to go back to school to get his, like, degree. And Believe knows this, so he brings this up to Kobe and says, look, you're not going to have as much on next year with the business side of things because you're going back to school. And to help you out, the business can actually offer you a scholarship and they can pay for your tuition. And then you don't have to pay for the tuition, and it can also be a business expense for the company.
This is my little old brain thinking I'm so smart, you know? I'm like, dang, like, I could, like, go back to school. And he's like, yeah, and we can even pay for your school. Like, we can give you a scholarship. It will be a tax write-off for the business, give you a scholarship, and you can go to school for free, completely for free. The company can pay for your books, the company can pay for everything, completely free. So I'm like, wow, like, this might be, this kind of sounded good.
And Kobe says before he does anything, he makes sure to verify, will I still get paid my 3 months payment?
I just wanted to verify, like, I'm still going to get my paycheck every 3 months, right? Like, I'm still going to get that. He's like, yeah, and you'll be the face of the company forever. That's something that you can use while you're out networking. Like, that's in your portfolio now, right? So you can tell people, like, yeah, I've built this business and it's all successful and self-sustaining, and now, like, I'm out building the next thing, and this is how you build wealth.
So now at this point, Kobe agrees, and he technically now owns 0% on paper. Well, actually, he does own 0%. At this point, he believes it's just like 0% on paper, you know? It's like a weird way around it. But when it gets to the point where Kobe's meant to receive his first payment, he asks about it, there's an excuse. So he comes back to the next date when he said he'll get paid, and there's still an excuse. There's more and more excuses over and over again, so Kobe actually ends up getting legal advice, and he basically finds out that Believe has been lying to him.
Terry, he's a tax professional. And I said, Terry, I got a question for you. So I gave him the situation about the $5,000 and went to the wrong account. And I was like, if you're an S-Corp, are you not allowed to send money that was wrongfully sent to you to another person because of being an S-Corp? You can only send it through a business. And Terry goes, no, that's not how that works. All you have to do is report in your books that this money came in, it's been rerouted to this place because it was wrongfully sent here. That's all you got to do. And you can send the money. So why did you ask me that? Like, what's going on? So then I explained that the money was wrongfully sent to the business, and my business partner told me that he can't send it to me because it has to be through a business and an S-Corp, whatever. Terry goes, that's bullshit.
And then this is what brings us to the final part in the story. So obviously at this point, Kobe realizes that Bleev's been lying to him this whole time about the money and everything about the business. He starts doing more digging, looking back, finding out more and more lies. And Bleev actually ends up ringing Kobe to say, oh, we need to kind of release a statement because you're not on socials as much, you know, because you're going back to school. So could we have like a meeting and come up with a statement so people know like why you're away and why you're not like the face of the company anymore? So Kobe says, yeah, let's have the meeting, knowing fine well he doesn't want to talk about this statement. He wants to talk about the money.
A lot of cash flow, but I can get you the money. I can definitely get you the money by this date. And so I'm like, can you really though? Because that's what you said the last time, and the last time, and the last time. And then originally you told me that you couldn't send it to me because I needed to set up a business for the S Corp. And I talked to a tax professional and he told me that that wasn't true. All you have to do is record that on the books. And then I find out about Trixie and the stuff that's going on with her. You just said it was a mess. And I'm just really confused. Like, are you ever going to send me the money?
And now at this point, Kobe says Bleev just kind of starts like blaming the fact that his mum's passed away as to why this is all happening.
And he goes, you know, my mom just passed away and it's just been a lot. And everyone around me just been taking. And I just give and give and give and give. And then he made up some other excuse for why he's been unethical with money.
And this kind of becomes like a continuous cycle again. He's asking for the payment, oh, more excuses, asking for the payment, more excuses, to the point where it's just obviously never happening at this point. Kobe also like reiterates that he's asked for legal advice to even talk about this in the first place, and then goes on to confirm that the last time he actually received payment from this company was early 2022.
Guess when the last time I got paid from this business? January of 2022 was the last time I received any money at all from this business. When I was supposed to be receiving a paycheck every 3 months until next April 2025. I haven't received a single penny.
So yeah, I mean, you can say he was like naive and made some dumb decisions along the way, which, I mean, look, it is true. He admits it himself, but fuck it, he has been royally screwed over in this situation. Like, he's missed out on a lot of money. He now no longer owns his business that he started as a 15-year-old kid, you know, in his garage, his passion project. It's now just being ran by this bloke who doesn't care about the company, is just using it for money. And of course, on top of that, the person who screwed him over is someone that he thought he really trusted and was a bit of like a mentor to him at the beginning. Now, as a response from the company, as we can see here, this is the Saturday Candle Company page, on 751,000 followers. Like, this is obviously grew quite a lot. And there's 2 videos here kind of addressing everything, or I guess there was 3, because this first video is talking about how another video got taken down. So it says, we did not delete our video, TikTok got complaints and removed it. We aren't hiding about this, there are 2 sides to every story. We are going to let the courts figure this out. Anyone that wants to have a respectful conversation, we have been responding to. Threats against our employees or families is uncalled for and will continue to be reported. This is a business dispute, nothing more. I mean, he's saying that he wants to have like respectful conversation. The comments are turned off. And as for the court, I would assume legally there's not much Kobe can really do about it anyways, because he did sign away the papers. Obviously, he was manipulated into that from the story that we're hearing, but yeah, I mean, he did technically sign away his like equity. The Candle Company also posted this video saying this timeline just isn't adding up, suspicious from July through December. This video was shot in December 2021, so this is a month before he received his last payment.
Try and get a thumbnail. And you get a picture in the warehouse too. But yeah, y'all, and it's just so crazy because it's like at 22 years old, like I'm like have a whole, you know, I don't remember how many square feet this upstairs part of our warehouse is, but like 22 years old, I've got a 5,000 square foot warehouse, like a whole office suites upstairs.
Okay, right, for full transparency's sake, this is the first time I'm seeing this, so I'm trying to figure out what the point of it is. Like, what is the bit that doesn't add up? He's talking about how they have an office space, but again, this is before he had this like big meeting about like the money and like when he received his last payment.
And I couldn't have done all this without my business partner, so that's why I keep saying like this. He doesn't like to be on camera and stuff, but I just be like, he is the GOAT for real.
Oh, okay, so I guess that's what he's bringing up, right? The fact that Kobe is saying like his business partner is the GOAT and all this stuff. But again, this is before he kind of realized everything and before he received his last payment for the company. So I mean, yeah, he's very open about it in the series that he really did trust this guy at the beginning.
Because he just brought so much experience to the table and was able to make it so that Art and Candle could really grow fast, you know. because I wouldn't have. We would have been going real slow because I don't know what I'm doing, you know?
Okay, so this is the video, right? He's bigging up Believe, which, I mean, again, he was obviously very open about this in the series, saying that he really trusted him and didn't think he was doing anything wrong throughout this. And he was also very open about the fact that Believe helped out a lot, which is why he was willing to give him such high equity.
I'm so glad, but once again, that's the thing I used to say all the time. I'm attracting the right people. I'm attracting the right people into my life, you know? And then we ended up meeting, and then our relationship started to evolve into what it is now. And it's just crazy. It almost seems like magic, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like how somebody else looking at me, it might be like, how in the world do you just keep finding the right people? Somebody actually asked me that before. It's like, where are you finding all these people? I'm like, I don't know. It just, one thing leads to the next, and next thing you know, I met this person or that person, and it's just like, I mean, there is definitely a method to the madness. Like, there's certain things that I do and certain principles that I live by that I feel like are the reasons why.
Okay, I mean, that's a video. I mean, if anything, that's actually just really fucking sad that that's how we felt about the company before, and then obviously after all this happened, he has very different thoughts, and to see how like kind of shit it went in the end, it's actually quite sad to see. But yeah, I mean, that's the video they posted. I guess that's their response. I don't really know what to take from it, really. Actually, in the description of this video, it says, we have been trying to stay positive and take the beating while we work out details of the contract that we both signed. We have also offered to sit down with Kobe's attorneys or a mediator with no response. We are trying to respond to people's questions as fast as we can, as long as the conversation stays civil. I mean, again, though, the comments are disabled, aren't they? Yeah, they're disabled on this video as well. So I don't really know much about that, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, there might be a big twist in the story that completely proves Kobe's story wrong, who knows, but we just haven't seen it at this point yet. But either way, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below on whose side you're on, just your thoughts in general of the situation, and I'm going to leave it there. So if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe if you are new, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.